The bell above the door jingled, sharp and cheerful like always. It was just past 1 p.m. on a sun-washed Thursday in July. Inside Gracie's grill, the air smelled of sizzling bacon, warm sourdough, and the sweet temps of lemon pie. The lunch crowd buzzed with lazy conversation, clinking cutlery, and the occasional blast from the milkshake mixer. A local radio station hummed from the jukebox Fleetwood Mac drifting over the tables and booths. Luma. 23 flipped her ponytail back into her red cap, slid a pencil behind her ear, and cleared the sticky plates from table 4. Her name tag sat slightly askew on her chest, smudged with syrup, reading, "Luma, ask me about pie." She wasn't the shy kind. Bold eyes, quick tongue, and the kind of smile that came off half sarcastic, half sweet. Regulars liked her. Tourists didn't. Know what hit them? And the line cook in the back at his war she could outsass a thunderstorm. Luma looked up as the door chimed again. 2 men entered, both in dark blue police uniforms. One tall and wiry, the other shorter, broader, her polished boots tapped. Across the floor, drawing curious glances from the tables, Luma smirked as she leaned against the counter. "Look who's here to rescue us from bad coffee. You boys finally give up on that speed trap outside the petrol station." A few customers laughed. The taller officer, Dent, didn't crack a smile. His partner, Officer Rell, scanned the room slowly, as if memorizing every face. "Coffee?" Luma offered, lifting the pot in her hand. Dent stepped forward. "Luma Gray?" She raised a brow. "In the flesh?" He pulled something from his pocket. Badge, then cuffs. "You're under arrest." The diner went silent. Luma blinked, stunned. What?" Officer Dent's tone remained firm. "Turn around. What's behind your back? What's going on?" Penny, the other waitress, whispered from behind the soda fountain. Luma gave a tight, confused laugh, trying to read the room, trying to figure out if this was a prank, some TV show, a mistake. "Wait, what's the charge?" she asked, voice a little higher now. "Felony theft," Dent said. "We'll explain everything at the station." Luma stood frozen for a heartbeat, then slowly turned, the coffee pot shaking slightly in her hand. Customers whispered,
"I wanna roll."
The old veterans at the back stood from his seat. A mother at table 6 clutched her toddler close. The short officer moved quickly now, cuffing Luma's wrists behind her back with practiced precision. The click of the metal echoed louder than the jukebox. "You've got the wrong person," Luma said, heart racing, pulse thumping in her ears. She turned her head, searching for anyone to speak up. Penny's face was pale. Eddie leaned over the pass window in disbelief. Her manager, Mr. Durnell, stood in the doorway to the back, mouth parted but saying nothing. "Let's go," Dent said. They marched her past the booths she'd served every day for the past year, past the counter where she'd danced to Elvis. Songs during night shifts, past the family in the corner, who always tipped her in exact change. Out into the daylight, the sun was blinding, but not half as harsh as the reality. Luma sat in the back of the patrol car, wrists tight in the cuffs. Staring out the window at the diner, her reflection looked back at her. Same girl, same eyes, but now a criminal. Her name would be in the papers, on Facebook. That teenage boy from booth 5 had definitely filmed the whole thing. She blinked away, the hot burn behind her eyes. This couldn't be happening. The ride too. The station was short but heavy. The officers didn't say much, then focused on the road. Rel tapped something into the laptop mounted beside him. She tried asking again what theft, where, when, but they repeated the same thing. "You'll be briefed at the station." Her hands were sweating. Her heart wouldn't slow down. She wasn't a thief. Not anymore. The holding room smelled like bleach and stale air. Cold light buzzed above her head. They took her fingerprints, ran her ID, and then left her alone at a steel table in a windowless box. Her mind spun. What did they find? What did they know? She had run from that life. 5 years ago, no one knew who. She really was not here. Not now. Luma Gray was the woman she built from scratch. One who woke up at 6, clocked in early, and brought Eddie coffee without asking. The girl who lived in a rented room with a dying houseplant and a rescue cat named Biscuit. She wasn't a criminal. Not anymore. But her past wasn't dead. The door opened. Officer Dent stepped in with a thick folder in his hands. He sat down and slid it onto the table between them. "Let's talk about who you really are." Luma's throat tightened. "Your name isn't Luma Gray," he said slowly. "We've matched your fingerprints to an old case file. Luma Kessler. Born in Norfolk. Ran away at 18. Arrested once as a minor. No trace since. Till now. Da-da-da." She swallowed hard. Her mouth was dry. "That's not who I am anymore," she whispered. "You were spotted in Dover last week," Dent continued. "Surveillance footage places you at a jewelry store just minutes before. £70,000 worth of diamonds disappeared. Witnesses identified you. Your fingerprints were found on the display case." "That's impossible," she said. Her voice cracked, but her heart dropped, because deep inside, she knew. This wasn't random. This wasn't just bad luck. Someone had set her up, and only one man from her past could have pulled it off. The room felt colder now. Luma sat across from Officer Dent, arms folded, wrists still sore from the cuffs. A plastic bottle of water sat untouched on the table, her eyes locked on the folder he'd opened paper after paper with her old name, Luma Kessler, stamped across them in bold ink. She had spent 5 years trying to kill that name. Now it sat in front of her alive, like it had never left. "I'm not the girl you think I am," she said, voice low but steady. "I haven't done anything wrong." Dent leaned back in his chair. "That may be true, but someone out there is making it look like you did." He slid a sheet toward her. It was a screenshot from CCTV footage, a woman walking out of a jewelry store in Dover, hood up, face shadowed, but the shape, the build, it looked like her. She studied the image, and then something in her chest cracked, because the way that woman moved fast, calculated, confident, it reminded her of someone she used to be. Someone she buried beneath diner aprons and extra shifts and polite smiles. "You were clean," Dent said. "For 5 years. No activity, no flags, not a single slip." Luma met his eyes. "What?" "Because I meant to stay clean." "Then tell me," he said gently, "who would want to frame you?" She remembered the first time she met Mace. She was 17, cold, hungry, sleeping behind a gas station off the motorway. He offered her warmth, a meal, a place to crash. She'd seen the warning signs, smooth talk, dead eyes, but she didn't have choices then. Mace taught her how to disappear in a crowd, how to lie without blinking, how to swipe without being noticed. Called it survival, but it was theft, plain and simple. By 18, she was part of his crew, 3 of them total. Fake IDs, short cons, lifted wallets. She wasn't proud of it, but when you're starving, shame is the last thing on your mind. The final straw came in the back room of a pawn shop in Leeds. Mace beat a man half to death over a stolen Rolex that wasn't even real. Luma had stared at the blood on the floor, then at her shaking hands. That night, she packed a bag, ran, and never looked back. "I left that life," she whispered. "I left him." Dent's pen stopped scribbling. "Him," she nodded. "Mace Royce. He took me in, trained me, controlled me. You think he's behind this?" Luma hesitated. "He always said if I disappeared, he'd make sure I paid, that he'd wait. And when I felt safe, he'd take it all away. And this jewelry store? That's exactly the kind of job he'd do. Flashy, fast, big payout. And if he knew where I was, if he found out I was alive and clean, he'd love framing me." Dent studied her. "You said, you've had no contact in 5 years?" "None. I changed everything. My name, my ID, moved to another town. I've lived quietly, legally. I even pay council tax." Dent smirked slightly at that. "We'll verify your claims. But we're still holding you until this clears up." Luma nodded, lips tight. "I understand." But inside her stomach twisted, because if Mace had come for her once, he might come again. The cot was metal and cold. She lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional footstep from the hallway. The past she'd buried had clawed its way back. She thought about Gracie's grill, The smell of fry oil. The way the sunlight hit the booth near the window. Penny's loud laugh. Eddie yelling, "Order up." She'd built a life there, and now it could all be gone. She wondered if Biscuit, her cat, would get fed. Tears slipped down the side of her face and into her hairline. She wasn't crying because she was scared. She was crying because she was angry. Detective Dent returned, coffee in hand, a change in his tone. "We reviewed more security footage," he said. "Your face isn't visible, but the figure matches your height and posture. That was enough to issue the arrest." But he opened his folder. "We also pulled bank records. You never left town the day of the robbery. Your phone pinged 3 times from your flat. Your debit card was used twice locally." Luma sat up straighter. "So I wasn't in Dover." Dent nodded. "Right? Which means one of 2 things. Either you're a criminal mastermind with help, or someone used your old identity to frame you. And we're leaning toward the second one," he added. Luma exhaled a shaky breath. "What do we do now?" she asked. "We dig." Flash cut police investigation montage, Dent cross-references, digital footprints, security logs, and alias records. A tech analyst at HQ isolates the surveillance footage from the jewelry store. It's glitchy. Edits are detected. A traffic camera, 2 blocks away, catches a man exiting a rental car, matching Mace's description. A fake ID is recovered from a pawn shop bust nearby. It uses Luma's real name and photo, but was created only weeks ago. Piece by piece, the case turns. The woman. In the footage, a setup. The fingerprints? Planted the real mastermind? Mace Royce. Dent returns to Luma's cell late that evening. "You were telling the truth?" he says simply. She leans forward, her heart pounding. "We traced a burner phone used during the robbery. Guess who activated it?" She already knew. "Mace," she whispered. "He's back," Dent said. "And he wanted you to take the fall." The morning fog still clung to the windows of the precinct when Officer Dent walked into the evidence room. The mood had shifted from suspicion to pursuit. Luma's story, once considered a deflection, was now the key to the case. On the whiteboard in the operations room, Mace Royce, prime suspect, armed, dangerous, master of disguise. Known for framing ex-associates, Luma sat quietly in Dent's office, her wrists now free, sipping coffee from a paper cup. Her eyes were hollow from lack of sleep, but sharp, awake, angry. "Can I ask you something?" she said, voice low. Dent looked up. "Go ahead. Why would he wait 5 years? Why now?" Dent sat back. "Because men like Mace don't let go, eh? They let you feel safe, then rip it away when it hurts most." Luma stared at the condensation forming on her cup. "I used to dream of him finding me," she murmured. "Now that he has, it doesn't feel like fear anymore. It feels like fire." Break finally came from an unexpected source, a pawn shop owner near Manchester. He reported a man matching Mace's description, trying to offload uncut diamonds, using the name Donnie Rell. The name was an alias Dent had seen before, one used in a past heist. "He's slipping," Dent muttered, reviewing the call log. "Too bold. He thinks he buried her already." A sting operation was set. Rain pattered on the roof as the tactical units surrounded the warehouse. Floodlights were cut. Radio chatter was minimal. Inside, Mace was pacing, restless. A duffel bag full of stolen jewelry lay near his feet. A pistol rested on a crate. He thought he'd won. He thought Luma was sitting in a jail cell, crying, broken. He didn't know the net was closing. Outside, Dent spoke into his radio. "Team Alpha, hold. Breach on my signal at exactly 11:23. The doors burst open with a metallic roar. "Police. Hands where we can see them." Mace grabbed the gun but didn't fire. Just froze, breathing hard. As red dots from laser sights landed on his chest, he looked older, rougher. His charm twisted into something hollow. They took him down hard. No speech, no swagger, just metal on wrists and silence. Breaking. Fugitive Mace Royce captured in jewelry heist frame-up. Waitress Luma Gray cleared of all charges after ordeal that shocked the community. Footage rolled on TV screens in diners, living rooms, phones. Luma's mugshot was replaced by her smiling, walking out of the station with Dent beside her, not in cuffs, but in control. Luma stood in the parking lot, staring at the building she thought she'd never walk into again. The same door, same window where Mr. Darnell kept the fake flower pot. Same bell above the door that jingled when she pushed it open inside. The diner didn't pause, it exploded. Applause. Claps. Eddie yelling from the kitchen, "She's back, baby." Penny ran from behind the counter and hugged her so hard it nearly cracked her ribs. "I told them," Penny whispered. Luma looked around. The regulars. The kids. Even the old veteran from Table 9 stood and nodded slowly at her. She wiped a tear before it could fall. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "Just take your spot back," Mr. Darnell said, voice thick. "We've been drowning in orders since you left." He handed her an apron, clean, folded, her name tag pinned to the top. Luma, not Kessler, not a criminal, just Luma. Luma stood before a judge to legally restore her identity. She gave up the fake ID, the old address, the version of herself built from fear. What she kept was her strength. In the court record that day, she spoke briefly. "I spent 5 years hiding from who I was, nearly lost who I became. I'm not erasing the past. I'm proving it didn't define me." Sunlight filtered through the blinds. Biscuit, her gray tabby, sat curled in her lap behind the counter as the smell of pancakes filled the room. Luma sipped her coffee. Now, in jeans and a soft sweater, off-duty but home, Dent walked in, nodding toward her. "Busy day?" he asked. "Always." She smiled. He placed a small package on the counter. "For you." His side was a bracelet, cheap, silver-plated, engraved with one word, "Unbroken." Luma blinked fast but smiled. "Thank you," she whispered. "You earned it," Dent said. Then he walked out, the bell jingling behind him. Luma turned toward the kitchen, called back to Eddie, and stepped into her world again, not running, not hiding, but living.